So we're here at Lake Superior at the beginning of the Grand Portage Trail. I'll explain a little more later about what the Grand Portage is. But it's a historic trail, and the beginning starts right here. But 3 miles down trail, there is a washed out bridge over Poplar Creek, and the water is so high right now that it is impassable. So we're gonna go to a trailhead that is 4 miles down the trail, and so we're only gonna get to do half of it, but then we're gonna hike down to Fort Charlotte and Pigeon River. Alrighty, so I've drove like 15 minutes down around some dirt roads to get to this point, which is about 3.5 miles down the Grand Portage Trail. This is the halfway trailhead, and just to satisfy my own curiosity, I am gonna hike backwards 1 mile to Poplar Creek just to see how see the bridge out and how high it is, because I'm curious whether or not I could have crossed it or not. But we're gonna go check that out, and then we'll I'll grab my backpack and we'll head back the other way and head to Fort Charlotte. Okay, now here's Poplar Creek, and yes, this is a disaster area, but however, I think this is far from impassable. I think I could have passed this. I'm not going to go back now, but I could just walk across those boards over here, across on that beaver dam. Alright, well, let's head back and get the big backpack on. Alright folks, I got my backpack on. We are heading out for real now. This is, by the way, this road here, or I should say the highway that goes up the north shore of Minnesota is Highway 61. This road here is the old Highway 61. I didn't research it beforehand, but I'm curious. I'll put it on the screen how old this road is. Coming in, it's obviously was paved at one point, but the pavement has turned back into dirt, basically. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And I drove down to the end of it, and there was the old bridge across the Pigeon River into Canada, but it no longer exists. But yeah, it's kind of cool to think that this was the old main highway through here. Anyway, we got about 5 miles to go to Fort Charlotte. It is an absolutely beautiful day today. It is probably like 65 degrees right now. I weighed my backpack, it was at 21 pounds. And then I realized I didn't have my water in there, so 21 pounds without my water. It's a little warm already, but It is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Alright. I think I'm about a mile in, maybe a little less. But I think I just heard a bear, maybe. Something. I can't see anything. But all of a sudden I heard a bunch of sticks and cracking and leaves making noise, and then a big boom, thud. Interesting. So a portage, for any of you that don't know, is usually a trail between two bodies of water that you can use to carry some kind of watercraft through to get from one body of water to the other. Like a canoe or a kayak. This one is 8.5 miles, which is why it's the Grand Portage. Because it's extremely long. 8.5 miles is a very long portage. 2 miles is a long portage. So the trail needs to be extra wide to accommodate someone carrying a canoe on their heads or kayak or whatever. Wolf scat. Wolves in the area. Definitely a moose print. That's way too big for a deer. Gotta be a moose. Port Charlotte, 2 miles. Here we are at the beaver dam. Beautiful marsh area. Got a nice little beaver hut right here. The sign at the beginning of the boardwalk says that the beaver was on the coat of arms for Canada, and it was the national, what used to be the Canada's national symbol was the beaver. I did not know that. Gorgeous place. Alright, so here's one of the campsites. You got 2 tent pads over there, But there's a big widowmaker hanging right over that one. And that one could even hit that temp pad, so I don't like either of those. Although that one it's okay. Definitely not that one. And then there's this one, which I kind of like, but it looks really crooked. Like this corner looks like it's coming way down on that side. Let's go check out the other campsite. Alright, and here's the other campsite. This fire pit actually has room in it. The other one is completely full. There's only 2 tent pads at this one, right next to each other. And they both look good. And that's about it. 3 picnic tables. I don't know. I kind of like this one over here. I think we might do that one. Back at the Pigeon River. Very nice. There's a small rapids right there. Awesome. This is gorgeous. The water is really high. Cool, cool. Well, I was hoping that there was going to be a canoe here, and there's not. That's too bad. Awesome. Well, I guess we better go get set up. Have some dinner. I'm getting hungry. Here we go. A better look at the Pigeon River. So, I've seen pictures of this rapids before when researching for this hike. And usually there's rocks sticking up. Alrighty, here we are. We got a second set of rapids. Just a little ways down from the first one. Pretty cool. Alright, I decided on the first campsite on this one that I thought looked crooked because I can see the river from here. Awesome. Tonight I'm going to be having the Peak Refuel beef stroganoff. Now I see a lot of other backpacking YouTubers love this. I've never tried it. I like stroganoff though, so hope it's good. So if you remember on the Ozark Trail about a month ago, my zipper broke on my sleeping bag. I've sent that in to get fixed. Well, it's in the shop right now, so meanwhile, I just have a generic 30-degree sleeping bag that's probably like 20 years old, 25 years old. It's a synthetic fiber sleeping bag. I washed it and tried to fluff it up best I could, but I'm kind of worried about it keeping me warm. So I also brought my Sea to Summit Reactor Extreme. It's a sleeping bag liner, and hopefully this will help keep me a little warm tonight. It's supposed to get down to about 40 or 38, 40 degrees tonight. So hopefully I can stay warm with this. Alrighty folks, had a nice dinner, just sat at the picnic table for a while, relaxing. The temperature is definitely dropping off now. Put my jacket on. It's starting to get a little chilly. I'm pretty pooped out. I've had a pretty tiring day, so I think I'm gonna go lay in my tent for a little bit and doze off. I'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, adventurers. It's about 7 o'clock. I went and got my food bag. I'm boiling some water for some oatmeal. And some hot chocolate. It was a great night last night. I was surprised. I was worried about being cold last night because I know it was supposed to get down to 40. And the sleeping bag isn't great, but I was pleasantly warm. It might be because of this platform. I've never slept on a platform before, but it might have helped a great deal with keeping me warm. So that's awesome. It also rained a little bit last night. We got a little bit of sprinkling. Not a hard rain or anything, but just enough to make everything damp. We're gonna have some oatmeal and some hot chocolate, and then we'll get up and start going. Okay, so Grand Portage. What is Grand Portage? Well, Grand Portage is a trail that the Anishinaabe Indians used for hundreds of years for hunting beaver and other animals for their food and for their fur. In the late 1700s, the Europeans were making their way across the country, and they discovered this trail and made a deal with the Indians to use the trail and to help them carry and harvest the beavers. So the Pigeon River here is one of the biggest rivers on the North Shore, Minnesota North Shore, flowing into Lake Superior. But you can't canoe up it because of all the rapids, like this one here, and like the waterfalls we saw last week at Grand Portage State Park. So the way that the Anishinaabe found around it was this Grand Portage, 8.5 mile trail through the country, to this spot right here, right before this first rapid. From there, they could cross the river into Canada, into the middle of the continent, where they could hunt vast amounts of beaver and animal. There's just vast wilderness. Still to this day, it's just nothing but wilderness up there. So the Europeans and the Indians worked together to harvest furs and food up into almost the 1900s, when beaver were almost extinct from this area. And to this day, I guess this is the best known preserved fur trade area in the United States. Now it's open for recreation. What a gorgeous, gorgeous place. As far as recreation goes, it's free to camp here. I am actually very impressed. I haven't seen anybody this entire time. There was nobody at the parking lot when I parked. It's been a while since I've been on a hiking trip where I've never seen anybody. It seems like there's always people around, and I like to be secluded. It's nice. But it is free. You need to register and get a registration. Carry that with you. I have it in my backpack. But it is free. There's free parking. It's a great place. I don't know if you guys remember my Leave No Trace video. There's a little plaque here that talks about Leave No Trace. Has the 7 principles. And then it talks about how they've lost a lot of evidence due to people using metal detectors, stealing evidence from this area, and looting this area. So there's a lot of evidence that has been lost forever. I find this interesting. I parked at Old US 61, which says 4 miles. But 2 miles back was the beaver pond, and that said 2 miles to this campsite and 2.5 back, which would be 4.5. Which one is it? And the Fur Trade Hots, that's the visitor center, 8.5 miles. But if US 61 is at 3.5 miles from the fur trade, 5 more miles to this place. I don't know. They need to get their mileage straight. Well, we were heading out. It is a cool, very cool, overcast morning. It was kind of drizzling all night last night, so everything's wet. I mean, it was pretty wet yesterday when I was coming in, but now it's even wetter. It's kind of interesting. This is the same trail I hiked on the way in. I don't remember passing this on the way in. I must have not seen it. But here we are. I think we're about 1.5 miles back, maybe 2. Well, 2 is at the beaver pond, so not 2 yet. So maybe 1.5. Portage High Point. Elevation 1,340 feet. All right. Such a gorgeous area here. I think I'm going to take a short 5-10 minute break. Eat a fruit strip. Just relax. Usually when you come up on the North Shore and stuff, usually most of the water looks like this. It's more of an organic stew. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. You gotta watch out for those grouse, man. They're, they're hiding in the bushes, and as soon as you get too close, they scare the crap out of you. Jeez. Yeah, they like to nest in the underbrush. And if you walk too closely, sometimes they start squawking at you, or they flap their wings. It scares the crap out of me every time. They're pretty much harmless, but it sure makes you jump. Alright folks, made it back here to the car by 10:30. Earlier than I thought it was going to be. It was pretty easy going downhill, but it was much wetter than it was yesterday due to the rain last night. Beautiful country out here, beautiful country. So quiet, peaceful. Just love being out here. If you come here to the Grand Portage National Monument, there is a museum and stuff. It's not really my my thing, but if you like that kind of stuff, there's a museum there and stuff. Bonus content after this, there are 2 other small hikes that are part of the Grand Portage National Monument, or just, I'm sorry, 1 hike, Mount Rose, and so I'm going to be going to do that, and I'll put that at the end of this video. But thank you guys for coming with me. I appreciate you joining me for this hike. Please subscribe, and I will see you next Monday on Happy Trail Backpacking. Alright, adventurers, we are here. Bonus content at Mount Rose. We're going to climb to the top and see what's up there. It looks like we are approaching our final destination. This is awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at this. So, I just hiked the Grand Portage Trail, which starts at that fort. That is the big trading post right there. So then ships would come in from around the lake and dock right there and trade at the fur post. And the furs were supplied through the Grand Portage Trail, which I hiked earlier and I showed you guys. They go deep into the country to harvest these furs, and then they carry them through the Great Carrying Place down the Great Portage Trail to here, where they can be shipped off around the lake. You can see the actual Grand Portage, that big open gap there in the mountains. That's where the Grand Portage goes. So that would be the highest point. Remember we saw that sign, the 1,344 feet, I think it was? That would be right there. Awesome. Alright folks, this is awesome. Thanks for joining me. That does it for this video. Thanks for sticking around for the bonus content. Mount Mary, 965 feet. Woo! Happy trails, everybody.